Hello and welcome to Odds on Serie A Matchday 24. We had a great weekend. Last one, Leo, with your ACCA being correct and with Napoli very close to open the gap, but at the end, everything stayed the same.
Yes, finally we got the ACCA's hat trick, as we were joking at the end of Lazio, and Napoli has ended this consecutive runs of wins in added time, because Roma, that's when they make it 1-1, but they're still top of the Serie A, and that's very good for Antonio Conte's team.
𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐺𝐵 scoring both in Europe and in Serie A. For Roma, we have a double clash between Inter and Fiorentina in just 3-4 days. So guys, let's analyze everything we have in Italy. Of course, press the like if you enjoy. And now let's go on with the show. First game on Friday, we have La Vecchia Signora, Juventus playing against 𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐺, because Juventus, they have to play the playoff in the Champions League against PSV, a very interesting game, by the way. Juventus finally won a game comfortably 4-1 against Empoli. 𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐺, Leo, lost to Bologna and Atalanta recently, 2 points away only from the bottom three, and it's true that they are doing great things, but they have now a really tough schedule ahead of them.
Yes, and look, after the positives with the win against Udinese, after the positive despite defeated Atalanta, Matchday 23 wasn't good enough for them, and a poor display in their defeat 2-0 against Bologna. We know this season, almost as a rule in Serie A, if your team is down to 10 men, they will end up losing the game. By the time Fadera saw the red card after 38 minutes, 𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐺 was already losing 1-0, and I believe some of the fans, they may have packed their bags in Bologna, not very far from the lake, because we know how it was going to end that game, and it was a very stupid way of getting a red card, yellow for dissent, keep dissenting, and a red. No wonder Fabregas was fuming with his player. They were punished 𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐺 again with a set piece, with Bologna scoring the first goal with a header they would need, and they got for some reinforcement in defense in this transfer market, which has closed this week. They added the Croatian defender Ivan Smolcic, who can play right back, center back. They added as well 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, who knows very well Serie A, coming from Torino. He played more than 100 games, and they're going to need to gel straight away, especially when they are now in a run of 3 defeats in the last 4, just 2 points above relegation. And Juventus, Edu, for me, the best maybe second half of the season so far against Empoli. They won it from behind. 𝐵𝐵 Muani scored a brace in the second half, 3 goals in the last 3 games for him. 𝗵𝗏𝗏𝗏 scored a beauty from outside of the box, 8 goals this season, and the first one in 2025. Juve away from home, just 1 defeat all season, which is the only defeat so far, and that was against Napoli. Juventus, is true that they draw 6 out of 11 games out of Turin, but I can't see 𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐺 taking even a point here. For me, Juventus to win 2.1 sounds very good.
What a way of landing in Torino for 𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐺 Muani. Great signing in this winter transfer window. Well, Juventus involved in the Champions League. Also, Atalanta playing on Saturday. They have to play Bruges in the Champions League, and they draw points again unexpectedly against Torino. It won't be easy traveling to Verona. Is close, at least, from Bergamo, but Verona, they were able to beat Monza, key win, Leo, and they are still only 3 points above relegation, but still, as we said, a very important win for Verona in Monza.
Yeah, crucial win against Monza, the first win in the last 5 for them at home, though they are winless since the beginning of November. It's 4 defeats in the last 5, and scoring just 2. And Atalanta, look at it. I remember a few weeks ago in a comment in one of our videos, someone said, why we are like was questioning why we were writing Atalanta off when they were like just when the distance with Inter and Napoli was 7 points, or with Napoli was 7 points. And I think I respond something like, we would love to see Atalanta doing great in Serie A, competing for the title race against Inter, and now with Napoli, but they cannot afford to lose points. And Torino was one of those games they could not afford to lose 2 points. They had the chance of winning the game. Matteo Retegui missed a penalty with 10 or 12 minutes to go. 𝐿𝐵𝐺𝐵 scored the opening goal of the game for Atalanta, so they were ahead and they ended up on a 1-1. 𝐿𝐵𝐺𝐵 first goal in the last 3 years for him. They lost �𝐾𝐼𝐵, the goalkeeper, in the warm-up. They lost Kolasinac after 30 minutes. He got injured. Yesterday or last night against Bologna, they were kicked out of Coppa Italia, so they couldn't reach the semi-finals. So these are not the best time for Atalanta, but still you can have. I would always trust them with Gasperini. 𝗪𝐿𝐴 is back, which is very good. He played 5 minutes against Torino. It's very good because 𝐿𝐿𝐴 is, as we said, we mentioned last show, he's out for 3 or Retegui. Look, Edu, as I said, I will keep trusting Atalanta, even though they went ahead in the Coppa Italia. For me, it's Atalanta to win, goals over 1.5. These two together, odds of 1.93.
Let's see how it goes for the Italian teams in the Champions League. Also, Milan have to play in the playoffs against Feyenoord, the team where they got Santiago Giménez from, one of the signings in this winter transfer window, replacing Morata. Going to Galatasaray. Milan very close to win the derby. We must say that they were a bit lucky. Leo was 4 times Inter hitting the post, but at least they haven't lost to the rival this season. Indeed, it's a good point to try and go to Empoli, Leo, and get the 3 points. Empoli involved in the relegation battle, only 1 point away from Parma, is only 2 points in the last 8 games, so it's a must-win for Milan.
It is a must-win, and the odds are very good for Milan, to be honest, Edu.
Yeah.
And yes, they got lucky in the derby de la Madonnina. And to be honest, the mood before the game, let's be honest, was the worst imaginable for Milan after the defeat with Dinamo Zagreb, which left them without a straight place in the last 16 of the Champions League. On Saturday, to look a little bit better when we got to know that Santiago Giménez was signing for them. And by the time the 𝐿𝐵𝐺𝐵 equalized, which in fairness, at the very least, Inter deserved a point with those 3 shots hitting the woodwork, with 3 goals being disallowed. But by the time the game finished 1-1, I think the mood was completely different, or at least different to what we have expected beforehand. It's been a good transfer market this winter for Milan, Edu, with Santi Giménez. Kyle Walker, he made his debut in the derby. Riccardo Sottil also adding some power up front coming from Fiorentina, and also Joao Felix. Well, personally, I gave up in terms of what to expect with Joao Felix. It is a shame. He's talented, obviously, but his career is taking a silly direction, no? Because he's going everywhere. Every 6 months, Joao Felix is going somewhere. But you never know. Maybe Milan is going to do the magic for him, or he's going to do the magic for Milan. But at the end of the day, you think of a team going to Empoli with Pulisic, Leao, Giménez, Joao, Reinders, who scored against Inter his 7th goal of the season, and everything sounds good, to be honest. But if something good will happen to this team, it needs to start with Empoli, because Milan is 7 points behind the top 4. You mentioned the terrible state of Empoli so far, conceded as well 11 goals in the last 4 games. At home, they're winless in the last 6, with 3 defeats in the last 4. So, as I said, good odds on Milan in here. I will, which is 1.7. If you add goals on that, you're gonna take the odds closer to 2 or even closer to 3. I will go for the goals market, goals over 2.5, 1.95.
I wouldn't trust as well Joao Felix, but perhaps at one point he also works and does well, because he's very talented, as we know, but he's not working in any team. It's not Simeone's problem anymore, but I'm sure we all know it's Joao Felix's problem. And for Saturday, we also have Torino, Genoa. Leo, this is a mid-table game with Torino getting a good point in Bergamo and beating Cagliari recently. No defeats in the last 6. And with Genoa losing to Fiorentina, but still also in a good run before that defeat.
Yes, absolutely. And look, this could be called the goals under 2.5 derby, at least for the last 2 seasons. And I believe everything is telling us that it should be a hat trick of under 2.5 goals in this Torino Genoa on Matchday 24 this weekend. For Torino, anyway, a great weekend, Matchday 23, with that draw against Atalanta in Bergamo. Genoa, on the other hand, left Firenze empty-handed. It could have been a draw, and it wasn't only because of 𝗵𝗵𝗍𝐻, who saved an amazing header from the Winter, who was very close to scoring a brace, but he didn't thought that 𝗵𝗵𝗍𝐻 was going to pull such a save at the end of the game. Talking about goalkeepers, 𝗵𝗵𝐿𝐵𝐿 was man of the match against Atalanta, saving that penalty against Matteo Retegui. Nothing new for him this season. It was the third penalty saved by 𝗵𝗵𝐿𝐵𝐿 in Serie A. One against Bologna and one in each fixture with Atalanta. Torino is not losing, at least lately. Edu, 5 draws and 1 win in the last 6 for them. For Genoa, everything a bit more bumpier. 3 wins in the last 6. A win against Torino could take them above them and closer to the top half of the table. I just don't see that. I mentioned at the beginning the goals under 2.5. Well, the return for that one is 1.5. So that's why I'm leaning here for a draw. A draw is 3.05.
Okay, and for Sunday we have Venezia, Roma. Roma got a great draw with Napoli. Also, they got a great win against Frankfurt, with 𝐿𝐴𝐵𝐻𝐿 shining in both games. As I was saying, remember that in the last away game they got the first away win of the season. In Udine, now they have 4 consecutive away games in different competitions, and Venezia shouldn't be easy. Leo, last time Roma visited this stadium, they lost in 2021 3-2, and Venezia, yes, we know that they are in relegation. They are going down probably, and no wins in the last 6, but still they keep competing, and it's not an easy fixture for Roma.
No, I mean, we keep saying this in the last 2 or 3 months with Venezia, which is true. They compete against the top teams, but they're not getting the results against them. And at the end of the day, the season is going to be judged in other games and not against Roma or the top 4 for Venezia. And if Torino Genoa was pointing to, for me at least, for goals under, this one is pointing towards goals over 2.5. Roma will be playing tonight as well in Coppa Italia in San Siro. They are at the back of very 3 good results. That win against Udinese, the win against Frankfurt, and of course the 1-1 against Napoli on Matchday 23. Angelini, as you said, scoring 2 consecutive goals, enter Frankfurt, and then the equalizer against Napoli, which was his first league goal in Serie A, but in overall his first league goal since March 2022, when he scored for Leipzig against Freiburg in the Bundesliga. And Venezia, even if they manage to get a win, they know that they're not going to get above the red zone this weekend. For them, everything happened in the second half. They managed to make it from 2-0 down to 2-2, but in the end, Udinese won 3-2 with 5 minutes to go. I said, Edu, I expect goals in this one, especially with Roma being involved, with this Roma in a good level, and Venezia usually as well, scoring against top teams. That's why goals over 2.5, good odds 1.80.
Well, Venezia 5 points away from salvation, and the next game is a key one for the relegation battle. Parma, Cagliari 1 point above. Parma now in relegation after the heavy defeat against Lecce, 3-1 at home. No wins for Parma in the last 5. Cagliari also lost to Lazio, and Torino. Difficult, Leo, this one. Could be a draw easily.
It could be. I think the favoritism is leaning towards Cagliari, but a very real 6-pointer here, Edu. Parma disappointing the defeat with Lecce. The loss at home for sure has been a bit a bitter pill to swallow for them, especially after what we have seen against Milan in San Siro, and despite defeat on Matchday 23. But the same with Venezia. I mean, they're teams which are doing good or competing against top teams, but then the games they need to win, that's when we need to we need to see the real face of them. And against Lecce was terrible for Parma in a game also that they started winning, so it's even more painful. And for Cagliari to lose at home against Lazio, there's no shame on that, although they managed at some point to make it 1-1 in the second half through Roberto Piccoli, already enjoying his best goal-scoring season in the Serie A with 6 goals. The last 2 home games has been against struggling sides for Cagliari, and both were wins. 1-0 against Verona and also against Lecce 4-1. So that's why I see them being favorites here, like the bookies. My takeaway here, Cagliari first half Asian handicap minus 0.25 odds of 2.
Very, very important game for the relegation battle. Next one is Lazio Monza. Should be a win here for Lazio, 1.45. They are still in Champions League spots after that win against Cagliari. And Monza, Leo, I think that defeat against Verona is the last nail in the coffin.
Absolutely. Plus, if you look at the goal, it was an own goal. A defender trying to kick the ball away in his own box and scoring inside his own goal. So that tells you everything about Monza's season. And I think, yes, we can count on Monza going down already if you haven't done it before. And Lazio at the moment doing what they need to do in Serie A, winning the winnable games. Win with 𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐼. I mean, with 𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐼, sure, it was 1-1. But then a win away to Verona, and now another win with this time against another relegation contender like Cagliari. Nothing extraordinary in the performance. I would say 2 goals and no more than that. It was good that Tati Castellano scored his first goal of 2025. He has 8 this season, and his last 5 goals have all come away from the Olimpico. But now it's a good chance for him to score again in front of his own fans. They have a new addition in 𝗵𝗵𝗿𝗀, the good Moroccan player coming from Verona, and he's only 20 years old, so he's one for the future. They are 2 points above Juventus in the top 4. The last 4 games at the Olimpico has returned just 2 points for them, and they have scored 3 goals. But again, Monza represents the opportunity to keep holding that 4th spot and getting back to winning ways in front of their own fans. That's why my take here, Edu, is Lazio to win plus goals over 2.5, odds of 2.54.
Lecce Bologna is the next game. Key win for Lecce in Parma. Massive to stay away from the bottom 3. And Bologna only 2 points away from Fiorentina, now without Champions League. Leo, I guess we should trust them much more in this second part of the season.
Yes, absolutely. And also yesterday, as I mentioned before, a great result for them, getting into the semifinals of Coppa Italia, beating Atalanta in Bergamo. The last title, the last trophy for Bologna was in 1974, and it was actually a Coppa Italia. Why not you think that they can have a chance here in the Coppa Italia? Because they will play Empoli or Juventus in the semifinal, and in the potential final was going to be Roma, Lazio, Milan, or Inter. And last weekend in Serie A, they have done the job against Como to win 2-0. 𝐿𝐵𝐴 is in a good shape in central defense. Bologna lost just 1 of the last 10 Serie A matches with 5 wins, and 3 of the last 4 games they drew in this run were against Juventus, Roma, and Inter. That says a lot about this team. They have added Davide Calabria to that defense, coming on loan from Milan. And Lecce, on the other hand, is winning a vital game against Parma. They did it against 𝗀𝗏𝗏, who is officially now a Manchester United player. Santiago Perotti scored a brace in that win against Parma. He has 4 goals this season, and 2 or 3 of them in the last 3 matches.
This is the Perotti, Leo Perotti, the one from Sevilla a long time ago. He's still around?
No,
that was Diego. That was Diego Perotti.
That was Diego Perotti, and this one is Pierotti. There is an I before the E. So my pronunciation.
Like I lost track of.
No. Don't worry. It's not that one. It's a different one. And the odds on Bologna I do for this one are great as well. I will take them all the way. Bologna to win 1.93. Give that to me.
One of the great games in this weekend, although massive favorite, of course, Napoli at the Maradona. Napoli Udinese keeping the distance with Inter despite the tough schedule recently, so very close even to win that game against Roma with an ex-Spinazzola scoring the goal. They have a tough game again next week, Leo, against Lazio, a team that they've lost twice already this season. But talking about this game, I guess Napoli should cruise against Udinese.
Yes, they should, and they felt a bit unlucky to lose 2 points at the Olimpico, but I think it was fair for what we have seen in the game. I agree with Antonio Conte saying that there's a draw away to Roma is not a bad result, and he had time also to throw a dagger to the Giallorossi, saying that to see Roma celebrating like crazy after scoring a late goal, it means they are doing something great, which is true. They're doing something great in Napoli, still top of the Serie A. They won against Juventus, they won against Atalanta. Now that draw with Roma, Udinese on the weekend, then is Lazio, then Como, and then the first weekend in March is going to be the great game against Inter, which also Inter, before going into that fixture with Napoli, they're going to play Fiorentina, Juventus, and Genoa. So the fixture a little bit more friendlier with Napoli, who's playing Udinese, Lazio, and then Como. The best home team of the season, Napoli, 9 wins and 2 defeats. Udinese with Venezia suffered unexpectedly from 2-0 to 2-2, but in the end, with 5 minutes to go, Bravo scored the winning goal to make it 3-2. A very important win for them. It was the first one in the last 6. But my take here is to get Napoli back straight away to winning ways, and also Napoli to win 2-0 to take those odds a little bit higher. Napoli to win 2-0, 2.1.
And for Monday, we have Inter Fiorentina. It's a bit weird, Leo, this game, because they are also playing in midweek. We haven't seen this game yet, but remember that the Fiorentina-Inter was postponed due to a terrible incident during the game. So they are playing twice in 4 or 5 days. Not sure if this is going to affect them, but Inter should be careful because Fiorentina, Leo, they had a bad moment probably 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, but now they are recovered and they are coming from back-to-back wins against Genoa and Lazio. Inter, probably they celebrated a lot the point in the derby, but they were also very unlucky with all the posts and all the missing chances.
Yes, absolutely. They should. They deserve at least a point, and we mentioned before 3 shots at the woodwork and also 3 goals disallowed, 2 of them with to Lautaro Martinez. I agree with you that they need to be careful with Fiorentina, who the last time they won 2 in a row was against Como and Cagliari. But that was at the end of November, the beginning of December. So this is a very good news that they can arrive to San Siro at the back of 2 wins. After Inter, or the opposite in San Siro, where Inter in the last 8 have won 5 and drew 3 in the last 8. So basically, even Fiorentina at the back of 2 good wins against Lazio and against Genoa. Inter is still the favorite here, but I can expect both teams to score. So it needs to be careful. This Inter, we're gonna see. I agree with you. It's a bit strange how the game is gonna pan out, taking into account they're playing twice in the lapse of 5 or 6 days. But Inter should win this game. Edu, they cannot also allow themselves to lose points before that encounter with Napoli at the beginning of March. Nicola Zalewski made his debut for Inter, coming on loan for Roma. He arrived on Saturday, he played on Sunday, he came on in the second half, Zalewski, and he provided the assist for the break to make it 1-1 in the derby de la Madonnina. My take here anyway, Edu, as I said, Inter the favorite. Yes, they need to be careful, but they're still the favorite. Inter to win, plus combine both teams to score, yes, odds of 2.8.
Well, guys, as always, remember that you can post your own tips in Oddspedia and participate in our tipster competitions. There is some money to be made, or create your own tipster competition thanks to rivals. Leo, your safe bet?
𝐿𝐭𝐵𝐺 Juventus goals over 1.5, odds of 1.35.
And as we mentioned at the beginning, again, your ACCA came in, and if I don't remember wrong, let me check, the odds were 6.2. So really, really high ACCA. Tell me your ACCA for this match day.
Still high on that line, I would say. 𝐿𝐭𝐵𝐺 Juventus, the safe bet, goals over 1.5. Empoli Milan, Milan to win and goals over 2.5, and Lazio to win. Those three odds of 6.43, Edu.
Very healthy, as you used to say, Leo. Thank you. See you next week. Bye-bye.